Kayleigh McEnany is with us on set. Morning to you. You graduated from Harvard. What do you think about all this that's going down now?
It is incomprehensible to me. I graduated in 2016, so not too long ago, and the radicalism was alive and well. You saw it there. There were very passionate student groups, some of which wanted to censor other student groups. But to think that 7 years later, I would hear from a man, Jonathan Frieden, who spoke on Capitol Hill, Harvard Law School, and he, on his walk to class, hears calls for genocide from the river to the sea. You are outnumbered. He sits in the library and 200 protesters run in and another student is hiding under the table. They run to the DEI office, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and the doors are locked. No student in America should face calls for genocide. Yes, you have a First Amendment right in this country, but you don't have a First Amendment right to an Ivy League education. You don't have a First Amendment right into polite society, and you don't have a First Amendment right into a cushy job at a law firm or in finance.
One of the things that the New York Times suggested is that the decision about whether to fire her was tied up in race, saying that the dilemma over the future of Dr. Gay, the university's first black president, is fraught, forcing the school to reckon with difficult questions of race, religion, and tolerance. Do you think that had something to do with it?
Look, it certainly could. I mean, that, after all, is at the center of DEI, and it's celebrated across the country that so many professors have attained their jobs because they profess belief in DEI, which that's the core of that. But the statement, you know, I got it in my inbox this morning as an alumni, calls for genocide are despicable. Well, your president just days ago said context matters. The initial statement she put out, not even calling the Hamas attack a terrorist attack. And I read her statement in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, and it was resolute and firm and correct. And I wish we would have seen that same passion come out in the wake of a terrorist attack.
It's such a wimpy backup, too, to appear before Congress and rely on the same statements from the same law firm that told them what to say. It's just, and Lorne Michaels was born in a kibbutz in southern Israel. And he allowed that SNL script to play out the way it's just mind-blowing. And I'm sure Jewish Americans are still shaking their head in disbelief now. Can we talk politics?
Sure.
Shall we? We got new CNN polling, 5 and 6. Here we go, guys. Head-to-head matchups. If it were Trump versus Biden, look at this number in Michigan. Trump's up by 10. Here's the number in Georgia. Trump's up by 5. There's a lot more data within this polling, but on its face, what do you say?
Look, and this comes after that early November New York Times Siena poll where Trump won in 5 of 6 swing states. If I'm the Biden campaign, the alarms are going off. We need a course correction is what I'm thinking. But there are some undercurrents to this poll that I would look at if I were in either campaign. Number one, a lot of Trump's support comes from non-2020 voters.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
first-time voters.
Right. You've got to get them to the polls. You have to have a get out the vote operation. Not only that, third-party candidates, when they're put in the mix, they helped Trump in Georgia, but hurt him in Michigan, even though he prevails in both. So that's a potential X factor. But if I'm Biden, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I'm losing young people. A quarter of Democrats or Democrat-leaning voters do not approve of my presidency. I've got a base issue. And to me, if I'm either candidate, that's the one issue that would disturb me most.
Yeah. But what about this one? In the Wall Street Journal poll, a hypothetical election against Biden, Haley up 17 over Biden, Trump up over Biden by 4, DeSantis at 0. Haley reportedly will get we don't have this confirmed, but reportedly is going to get the endorsement of Governor Chris Sununu in New Hampshire. That, of course, is the second state to vote. And I know that she was going to say, look, at my electability argument is really strong. Will any primary voters in the Republican Party be persuaded by that?
You know, electability has been a key argument. You heard DeSantis make that argument, but it's been unconvincing to a Republican electorate. That being said, Nikki Haley is 20% in some polls in New Hampshire. She's in a clear second place. Sununu is very popular, but endorsements haven't seemed to matter. We saw that with Kim Reynolds in Iowa. But what it could do for Nikki Haley, this puts a lot of pressure on Chris Christie. We'd already seen the reports of fundraisers saying, look, Chris Christie, it's time to drop out, support Nikki Haley. This puts pressure on Chris Christie. You didn't get the endorsement of the governor, though he's running in a strong third.
That's interesting, because if Christie were to drop out, supposedly his voters would go to Haley. But if DeSantis were to pull out before New Hampshire, his voters would go to Trump.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
That's what all the polling shows.
Thank you,
Love
Kayleigh.
having you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Come back anytime.
Yeah.
See you at noon on Outnumbered.
You're always
okay?
welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kayleigh.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.